International News Edition. His Majesty the King pays his condolences to the family of murdered Jordanian Air Force pilot معاذ الكساسبة and vows that the war on terrorism will go on. Royal Air Force jets launched strikes against Daesh terror group, destroying training camps and ammunition depots. The jets return safely and fly over Amman and the hometown of slain pilot معاذ الكساسبة. And at the Armed Forces General Headquarters, His Majesty the King, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, is updated on the air campaign against the militant Daesh group. Good evening and very warm welcome to the news. His Majesty the King visited the town of Ai, near the southern city of Karak, to offer condolences to the family of Air Force pilot معاذ الكساسبة. King Abdullah greeted the father of the murdered pilot as he arrived in Kasasbe's hometown. The king was greeted by members of the tribe of the pilot, who was burned alive by the Daesh terrorist group. King Abdullah said معاذ الكساسبة had joined the comrades in arms who fell as martyrs in defense of their country and for the message of Islam and humanity. The king said that the Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army are proud of their martyr pilot, stressing that the war on terrorism will go on in defense of our religion and our country and people. Also offering condolences along with the king were His Royal Highness Prince Faisal ibn Hussein, King's Advisor for Military Affairs and Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the King's National Security Advisor, and other civic and military officials. Soldiers and civilians were also amongst those who gathered in the Kasasbe's family's mourning tent to pay their condolences. Safi al-Kasasbe, the pilot's father, addressed the crowd, talking of the moment his son was captured by the terror group. He said he and his clan highly appreciated the king's stand and the sentiments of all Jordanians since the pilot's jet came down. The family of Kasasbe said they stand behind the Hashemite leadership in the interest of the country and for its defense, adding that the murdered fighter pilot had chosen to join the ranks of the armed forces and fell martyr in his country's defense.
Your Majesty, all Jordanians offer their condolences to you personally, to the Hashemite family, and to the armed forces. This homeland is a trust for each of them. You have the pledge from Mu'adh and his cousins to stand ready to defend this homeland. Mu'adh owes you the pledge to honor the oath and all follow his path as soldiers of God, his Prophet, Islam, and the Hashemite family, and defenders of the soil of this dear homeland.
Royal Air Force fighter jets flew over the hometown of slain Air Force pilot معاذ الكساسبة and the capital Amman after returning from a bombing mission against hideouts of IS or Daesh terrorist organization. The fighter jets returned home after staging airstrikes against targets of the terror group and flew over Amman and Ai, معاذ الكساسبة's hometown, to salute the family of the pilot. An armed forces communique said dozens of Air Force jets took part in the airstrikes, dubbed Operation Martyr Mu'adh, pounding Daesh training centers and ammunition depots. It said that today's raid, launched at 11 a.m., was in faith to our martyr Mu'adh and said it was just the beginning. The statement said all the targets were destroyed and all aircraft returned safely to their bases. The Armed Forces statement said the terrorist group will pay the price and vow to do what it could to defend the true values of Islam and eliminate this terrorist group. Jordan, part of the international coalition fighting Daesh, has vowed to intensify military action against the terror organization. The video was released by the Armed Forces. During a visit to the General Command Headquarters of the Jordan Armed Forces Arab Army, His Majesty the King, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, was updated on airstrikes launched by Royal Air Force jets against targets of IS or Daesh terrorist group. The King met his military advisor, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Lieutenant General Mish'al al-Zebn, and commanders in the attendance of His Royal Highness Prince Faisal ibn Hussein. The Army Chief briefed the King, the Supreme Commander, about today's air raids targeting positions and centers of the Daesh militant group, launched in response to the group's murder of pilot معاذ الكساسبة. The meeting also dealt with a number of issues related to the armed forces. His Majesty the King expressed his pride in the tremendous efforts undertaken by various units of the armed forces to defend the country and its security and stability, and also voiced his confidence in the level of training and combat readiness and the armed forces had achieved. The gruesome murder of pilot Muaذ Kasasbi has brought messages of support and solidarity from across the world. More world leaders today called His Majesty the King to offer their condolences and express their solidarity with the kingdom. Among those were King Hamad ibn Isa al Khalifa of Bahrain, King Felipe of Spain, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Iraqi Prime Minister Haydar al-Abadi, and European Parliament President Martin Schulz. Born in the city of Karak in 1988, Muaذ al-Kasasbi was one of 8 children and hailed from a prominent tribe in the country. The 26-year-old first lieutenant was killed by Daesh after his F-16 fighter jet crashed near the IS stronghold city of Raqqa in northeastern Syria.
Muaذ al-Kasasbi, symbol of courage, heroism and loyalty, faced his fate with his head held high. That's how Jordanians described his grisly murder by the terrorist Daesh group that posted a video showing his burning in a cage. The 26-year-old Jordanian first lieutenant was born in the Jordanian city of Karak in 1988. One of 8 children, Muaذ hailed from a prominent tribe in the south of the country. He graduated from the King Hussein Air College in 2009 and soon joined the Royal Jordanian Air Force, before qualifying as an operational pilot in 2012. He then joined the number 1 squadron at the Muwaffaq Salti Air Base. Kasasbe's F-16 plane crashed near Raqqa in December while on a sortie against the terror organization in what was attributed to engine failure. Muaذ's brother, Jawdat al-Kasasbe, said his brother died as a hero, sacrificing his life while defending his country and religion.
May Allah rest the soul of Muaذ, the country's martyr. Praise be to God. We witness that Muaذ is the sacrifice of Jordan. On behalf of my father, mother and the whole Kasasbe family, I console all Jordanians. Jordanians from across the social spectrum and from various faiths who had prayed for Muaذ and stood for him. Our condolences go out to His Majesty the King and Muaذ's comrades in arms.
The outrageous murder of Muaذ has triggered an outpouring of sympathy from the kingdom and beyond. Jordanians have been aggrieved by his gruesome slaying, with growing calls for revenge. The pilot's killing has stoked a feeling of patriotism among Jordanians as the country faces the threat of terrorism and extremism in a volatile neighborhood. Hala Dababne for the News at 10.
Political, partisan and professional union leaders and civil society institutions called on citizens to join a march planned after Friday prayers in front of Al-Husseini Grand Mosque in downtown Amman to Palm Square. The march is to show Jordanians stand united behind the Hashemite leadership, condemn the atrocity committed by Daesh terrorist group against pilot Muaذ al-Kasasbe. The gathering also aims at supporting Jordan armed forces and security agencies in confronting the terrorist group. Iraq staged a string of airstrikes in the provinces of Anbar and Samarra in central Iraq, targeting IS militants. A video released by the Iraqi Air Force showed various positions of the terror organization being targeted from the air, followed by massive explosions. The Combined Joint Task Force said that US and allied forces staged airstrikes on 14 IS targets in Iraq and Syria in a 24-hour period. Meanwhile, US House Speaker John Boehner said he expects Congress to consider an authorization on military force on Daesh in coming days. The militant group has killed thousands and forced hundreds of thousands from their homes in what the United Nations has called a reign of terror. Finally, a look at the weather forecast. Relatively cold tonight in most regions with the southeasterly moderate winds. A slight rise in temperatures tomorrow will create pleasant weather across the hilly areas and warm in the Jordan Valley. Winds will continue to be southeasterly moderate, picking up at times. Aqaba should expect warm weather as well, with northerly light winds and calm seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. To close our top stories once again. His Majesty the King pays his condolences to the family of murdered Jordanian Air Force pilot معاذ الكساسبة and vows that the war on terrorism will go on. Royal Air Force jets launched strikes against the Daesh terror group, destroying training camps and ammunition depots. The jets return safely and fly over Amman and the hometown of slain pilot معاذ الكساسبة. And at the Armed Forces General Headquarters, His Majesty the King, the Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces, is updated on the air campaign against the militant Daesh group. And that's the end of tonight's news. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good night.